Hey everybody, Jacob here in Madrid, and I got a phone call from a young mother saying, "Hey, I love the Lord and I want to honor the Sabbath, but I got three young kids and I am just not sure how to do that." And so, I mean, who better to invite onto the scene than Arnold Pust, greeting us from Germany. Arnold, we have a heart to serve the Lord and honor the Sabbath. Is this even possible when you're a parent of young kids?
You know what? I believe it is. But I think it's so important to understand that the law, you can't keep the law. It was never given so that we would do it, by ourselves. Instead, it leads us to Jesus, right?
Right.
So,
Right. So it is possible. So maybe if we could just get a feel of really what is it that the Lord is asking us. And the Sabbath wasn't made for God; it was made for us. So it's actually supposed to be a benefit for us. One of the things that I do to try to help people understand what the Sabbath is I do this little. I'm going to switch cameras here so that we can see. I do a little demonstration of these cups. Now the Bible says, "Remember to observe the Sabbath day by keeping it holy," the Bible says. "You have 6 days each week for your ordinary work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath day of rest dedicated to the Lord your God." So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, in Deuteronomy and Exodus, it says that we have 6 days. We have 6 days each week to do our ordinary work. But the Sabbath day is holy. Holy means to be separated and placed above. So we have 6 days to do what we please and the work of life. But he has this one day that he says, "This one's for me." And so the question is, Arnold, how can a parent of young children actually help the kids keep that day honored to the Lord?
what caused my attention is that it starts saying, remember the Sabbath.
Yeah.
Now, if you get up on Saturday or Sunday morning or whatever day is your day off, and you're just like, now I got to do this. Well, it's going to be harder than if you remember it throughout the whole week. As you plan out your week and your activities, remember the Sabbath. Remember that there is a day that's supposed to be different, a day of rest, but a day that doesn't belong to us. It belongs to the Lord. So as you plan your week, it will help you to just consider that day and make it special. I think that's part of what the commandment says.
That's great. And so let's say I have a 5-year old, and how can I, because what we want to do is we not only want to rest physically, but we want to feed our spirits. So how can a parent actually help the kids, learn more about the Lord on that day, because we want them to be focused on that?
Oh man, that's good. Usually, or it's so easy to think if we want to do something that the Lord delights in, it should be prayer, it should be studying the word, it should be worship, and how can you read the Bible with kids for a long time? It's impossible. They only have an attention span that equals 1 minute to a year of their own lives. So if you have a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, you can read the Bible max 3 or 5 minutes and they'll get bored. So make it super short. Just read a really short verse. When you pray, make short prayers, just one sentence. Even you could ask them to repeat after you. You say, "Jesus, we love you." And then they repeat, "Jesus, I love you." And that's something you could do to honor the Lord. But
You
Jake, I
know,
think, yeah,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
go.
Well, I remember once you told the story about, actually making the Bible stories come alive for them, like with fish, like the fish and the loaves. What would you do with a kid for that, with that?
Oh, yeah. So you could say, well, maybe the kids don't enjoy so much reading the word for a long time because you're just too small. Well, you start telling them a story, and you start, for example, you tell them the story where Jesus was resurrected from the dead, and he would visit his disciples on the shores of the Sea of Galilee. Well, buy some fish beforehand, get some bread, out of the cupboard, and start, start frying some fish and telling them how Jesus prepared dinner for his disciples. And then he called them over, and then he said, Peter, do you love me? And he said, yes, of course I love you. And, and so there's things that you can do that make it super practical, and you draw the children into the story, live the story with them,
Yeah. Oh man, that's great. And so there was actually a lady that said, just rather than having like one little 5-minute devotional time in the morning, she separated a time every hour. What was that like?
Oh man. So there was a single mom, and she says, I don't know how to take like this long, hour-long devotional with my kids. So she says, I can't stop all these activities. I have so much to do. But she would take every 2 or 3 minutes at each hour, she would set the alarm and would take the first couple of minutes to just pray together, seek the Lord, and take a short break, and then do something to just, spend time with the Lord, but make it really short segments,
And I think that's super wise, because what you're doing is you're training your child in the ways of the Lord, and then they won't depart from it. So as they grow up with these, hey, Sunday's a special day, or the day that you're taking your Sabbath day's rest is a special day, and we're going to feed our spirits and feed our souls, and this is important for you, it's important to the Lord. Okay, now we got a parent that says, I am exhausted, I have so many things to do. So how can a mom or a dad actually take that time and not only how can they feed their spirits during that time?
There's a couple of things I believe we can do as parents, One is to think that it's important to go to church. And usually there is a church service for kids too, a children's program. So if you find a church where you trust, where your children enjoy going, where you trust the children's workers, and take that time as they are in their own program to receive the sermon and receive during the worship time, go to church. Don't stop going, because right now you're saying it's too hard. I understand there's difficult situations, but to go to church on Sunday, Saturday, or whatever day you can, even weekly midweek services, just go and enjoy spending time with other believers. That will refresh you. But another thing is plan for it. If you can't take Sunday off because your whole family's at home and you're busy taking care of them, well, maybe you can take Monday morning where everybody's at school, and just take that moment and seek the Lord and spend time in prayer and studying the Word. So find something that will work for you. Plan to take that time of rest and spend time with that Lord, where you say, this is my joy. It's fun,
Yeah, and I think if you make it important, if this is a priority for you, it's like you've mentioned, it's like we don't think about going out and committing adultery. So why would we think about like not honoring the Sabbath? So this is important. It's important for me not to commit adultery. It's important for me not to kill and steal. Well, it's going to be important for me to honor the Lord with a day of rest. He gives me 6 days that I can do the things of life, and he says, hey, one, feed yourself and rest. And so, but we're focusing mostly on the parents and on the kids. So let's say you have the privilege of being in a home that has mom and dad. You think that the mom and dad could take turns and give like the other spouse, a section of time during the day where they could actually rest?
I believe every family has their own, works of ways of functioning and doing things, and every family enjoys different things. I know families where the couple will say, well, I'm going to take a few hours with the kids, and you just stay here and read a book and do whatever you enjoy doing, or the other way around. I know families that say, if we all have the day off, let's spend time together and go out to the lake, go for a hike, just spend time together. I think every family has to find their own ways to do it. But I think it's important that it is a day where we have fun, where we spend time together, where we get some rest, Right. But I noticed, and this has been a game changer for us as a family, to make it a day where we serve others. where we as a family, I'm not saying that now the parents have to, cook dinner and take it to someone from church and now it's extra work. No, no, no. Let the kids be part of it. If you bake a cake, let the kids bake the cake, enjoy the process, let them do something, let them participate, and then you go and take it to someone, or as a family, you do a phone call. Make it really short. When the kids are done, you say, now we'll pray and then I'll say goodbye. You don't have to sit another hour and talk to this person,
Right.
but do something as a family to serve others. Even invite your kids alongside with you as you're in church. You might be cleaning up after the service is done, and you ask your kids to say, let's do this together. And the beauty is this: the sooner you start, when they're small, you invite them in, then they'll see it as something that is fun. They don't question it. They'll ask you for it,
Right.
The other day as a family, we're like, oh, this is summer, let's spend a day on our bikes and go out and do just fun stuff. And today we'll skip church. Well, in the evening, I asked my kids, well, what was the best part? And they're like, yeah, it was fun, but we've really missed church. And I'm like, well, it was just one Sunday, But they're like, yeah, but we love church. And I know that's something that's in their hearts because it's been a priority for us as a family to go. And it surprised me, So I think whatever you make your priority, the kids will pick it up. And if they're older and you miss that opportunity, well, there's going to be more opportunities. When you have older kids, they say, I don't want to go. Well, you just start talking about what God's speaking to you, what God's doing in the church, and talk about the people, or look for a different church that they'll enjoy going to where they will find friends. But you'll see that the kids will always enjoy following you if they see that it's something that you love, And even if they don't, well, then you pray for them and God will do something great in their lives too. He's so close,
That's great.
That's
great, Arnold. Yeah, no, so what I'm hearing you say is, the Sabbath, you can just involve your kids in it, make it a time of learning and a time of serving and a time of rest. And I believe that if we're intentional about it, I love that idea that you said, let's be intentional and prepare for it before it even comes. If we're intentional, we'll find a way. I mean, if this is important to us to honor the Lord and to rest, then we're going to find creative ways to be able to do it. So,
and it's the same with any of the commandments, like let's say adultery that you mentioned before. Well, there's certain things I'm going to do or not going to do, so I won't fall into that temptation. Right, and the same happens with the Sabbath,
With the Sabbath. And I'll tell you, I find it interesting. He says, remember it, which it seems like that's the only commandment he uses the word remember is for the Sabbath, because I think it's just easy for us just like, yeah, whatever, and let's just do our 7 days the way we want. And he said, no, I want you to remember, this is going to be important for you, and it's important for me. So, well, listen, thank you, Art.
And when you feel guilty because you're like, oh, I can't take this day off, I can't do this, and I should be doing this. Well, whose voice is that? There's only one accuser, and that's the devil.
Right.
Because when you make that decision and you say, whatever it's going to take, I'm going to learn to remember the Sabbath, to honor, to call it my delight. Well, God's going to help you. He's going to give you strategies, and He delights in your heart to, for you to seek Him and to say, I want to do this. And it's His goodness that leads us to repentance. And that way it's His goodness that leads us to rest and enjoy the Sabbath and call it our delight.
That's great. Well, Arnold, some great ideas. I think, that the young parents watching this are going to, be encouraged that this is possible and we can honor the Lord, and we don't have to feel guilty about just sometimes being worn out because we have toddlers in the house. And I think we need to probably figure out how can we best honor the Lord in all the commandments, not just this one. So maybe we'll connect again here real soon and we'll go through the other 9, because the other 9, parents with small kids, how can we teach them how to keep the commandments, and honor the Lord with the commandments. And I think it would be super practical. So thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Jacob.
Well, I tell you what, Arnold is just amazing when it comes to understanding the how to just serve the Lord and honor the Lord with kids. And so thank you so much for joining us today. And we're going to continue on with our study on the commandments. And I hope this has been helpful for you. It has been for me, and I don't even have parents of young kids anymore, but it's been helpful for me. So God bless you guys.